Hello, listeners. You might be wondering why you're hearing my dulcet tones instead of intro music. Unfortunately, my colleague, co host, co navigator Ali wasn't available for recording the France Part 2 episode. Rather than skipping a few weeks, I thought, why not put this pilot episode up? It might sound a wee bit different to the episode we recorded recently, but it's a really good film. And I think it's a fun episode, so I hope you enjoy. As per usual, any film suggestions, comments, anything like that, send them our way at caravantourofterror@gmail.com. Ali will be back soon and we'll have the France Part 2 episode up as the next episode released. But until then, hope you enjoy this and I'll see you later. Bye. This week's a little different. Normally we'd be setting up in the caravan, taking a wee tour to a campsite, but we thought, you know what, we'll take a flight. We'll broaden our horizons just a little bit. Caravan's great, but sometimes you need to see a bit more of an exotic part of the world. We've just landed. Where are we?
I think we're in. Is this Mexico?
I don't know, but it's far too hot. I don't think my pale skin can take this heat. I don't have sunblock. I don't have a hat. Why did we come here?
We left it all in the caravan. We are here because we were watching a movie called Tigers Are Not Afraid, a 2017 fantasy horror movie. A movie about a group of children who are hiding out from the Mexican drug war and a specific kingpin drug dealer, however you want, who they stole a phone from. The main character's Estrella, who at the start of the movie gets 3 wishes from her teacher when her school is fired upon, caught in the crossfire of a drive-by shooting, and off the setup for the supernatural elements is right at the start of the movie in this classroom scene, and it is, you usually expect more flair or mystery around the kind of setup for this, and it is not. She in an effort to comfort Estrella, her teacher hands her 3 pieces of chalk and says, you get 3 wishes with these.
Now,
and she does.
Yeah. Well, does she?
Well,
that's a thing.
Well, yeah, that is a thing.
That's a thing.
The primary cast of this movie are children. Most of the scenes take place of this group of 5 children, and they are homeless, kind of scavenging. It's 4 boys and 1 girl, and her parents are killed early on in the movie.
Disappeared.
Yeah, disappeared. Yeah. Are disappeared.
Yeah, all the kids have kind of had that. They're all kind of washed up debris from the war on drugs kind of thing. That's the implication anyway. That seems to be that's certainly what happens to the central character, but it seems that all the kids have been touched by this, this ongoing war.
And they don't really go into the background of that. The other kids, pasts,
that's true.
But still give you a really good sense of these kids have been through shit.
Yeah, they're used to this kind of thing.
Yeah, and to give you an idea of the delightful surroundings that they live in, the youngest one sleeps in a hollowed out TV set.
Yep. Made it look pretty comfy.
He did. It looked
kind of adorable.
Until we noticed it was...
If you get over the human horror of it, it's kind of adorable.
So you're saying that is... and that's one of the big things about this movie. The horror, the fantasy is not the scary part of this movie. It really, really pushes the Mexican drug war horror. Horrible living conditions and day-to-day survival of these kids is definitely more the horror, and that's, it sounds very cliched.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's still, you throw in a ghost there. There's a few ghostly things, but yeah, I'd say, yeah, you're right. It's got the whole whimsy thing. It's got supernatural elements, but I mean, I think to us especially, from where from, we don't have to deal with any of this kind of stuff in our day-to-day lives. For it to start right at the beginning with Estrella witnessing the brutality, like there's a scene where it's a recurring motif in the film. She walks past a corpse just after leaving her school, and blood from the corpse starts following her in a little trail behind her, and that trail, it comes back again and again, kind of thing. That is definitely the more effective piece of horror for me.
These kids do an excellent job. I've got to say, like,
yeah,
I don't like kid actors. I don't like kids, but these kids are unbelievable. And we talked about it a little bit before this of, like, is it the language barrier? I think we both kind of came to the conclusion, no, like, that these are good performances regardless.
Yeah, so I looked at it after, so they're all untrained actors, but the character Shine, who's kind of, so Estrella and Shine are really the two main characters, and Shine's like the little the de facto leader of the gang. And then when Estrella comes into the gang, kind of starts getting a bit more influence, there's tension between them. Shine got nominated for an award for this. I think it was an Ariel Award, which is kind of like Mexico's Oscars, basically.
Yeah.
So it can. I mean, it's a performance that's been recognized in its own country, so it's definitely notable.
I mean, a good 80% of this movie is just kids.
Yeah,
and
kids talking to kids.
Kids talking to kids, and they honestly just do a fantastic job.
Yeah.
The emotion, as you said, that tension that builds up between Estrella and Shine is really, really well handled.
Yeah.
And they're all young. They all look, I'm great.
They're all the pre-teenage years, I'd say, most of them.
Yeah.
A little kid, 7 or 8 years old, some of them, I'm sure. Right?
And that kind of horror really... It really puts a different spin when the supernatural elements come into it, and the movie plays on that quite well, of Estrella being haunted by these dead bodies that you were saying, and the disappearance of her mother.
Yeah.
And slowly throughout the movie, you realize that the children are not victims of these ghosts. These ghosts are as much victims as the kids are of this ongoing conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And the audience and Estrella, you start to realize that the ghosts are looking to help or looking for revenge against the people that killed them, the people that wronged them, and are actually trying to help Estrella and these kids.
It's a pretty terrifying way of talking to her is the problem.
yeah, but that's only because of their circumstance. That's only because they are tortured, murdered, and wrapped in these bags, and that is,
it's the horror of their fate.
Yeah, exactly. It builds that very well and uses it sparsely enough that it allows you to just get really, really deeply interested in this story, and then brings this sort of supernatural element into it to even unsettle you more.
The supernatural element, it's kind of twofold, because you've got, we say, Estrella's visited by visions of her mother and other victims, but you also have the tiger from the title being usually appears as graffiti that kind of runs around in the streets and things like that. I never took that to be exactly literal, but it is the kind of some of the fantastical element that was kind of the visuals of it. So you've got the trail of blood, you've got the tiger running around, but you've also kind of separately from that got visions of ghosts. I don't think it's exactly spelled out what's real and what's not, but right from the off, as soon as the chalk's given to her, it's kind of all up in the air. To me, it's all up in the air.
Mm-hmm. For one, the movie's use of graffiti is like really masterful. It sets the scenes for a lot of what's to happen, and I just genuinely like the artwork, for one thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel they answer more questions than they should by the end of the movie. You could argue that the chalk and the ghosts were resolved, considering the way that the fate of the bad guy at the end.
Mm-hmm.
If we're dipping right into spoiler territory.
Oh God, no. Yeah,
no?
Let's just do it. Let's just do it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Listen, go watch the film because we liked it, okay? Pause right now. Go watch the film. It's 80 minutes. It's on Shudder right now.
It's not
very
long.
Good.
It's really not long.
It's not long. If any of what we just set up, bear in mind, it can be a grim and gritty watch, but it's not always grim and gritty. Now come back.
It's got a lot of heart to it, actually.
All right, let's spoil the hell out of this thing now.
So yeah, the three pieces of chalk, you think they have more to do with the story than they actually do. And I like that. It's more of a comfort for Estrella than it is an actual plot device. Each one of her wishes does come true, but
it can be explained by just happenstance.
Exactly. She is sent to murder someone to kind of initiate her into Shine's gang, and she makes her first wish of, I wish I didn't have to do this, and she thinks that the guy's already dead.
Yeah.
The second wish is slipping my mind at the moment. Donald, you got that one?
Nope.
Awesome. And then the third wish is she uses it for Shine. He asks a couple points throughout the movie. He is scarred on his face from, an incident likely relating to his circumstances.
Oh, the first wish is obvious. We forgot about it. It was wishing to see her mother again. So that was her first wish. Her second wish was wishing she didn't need to kill that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and the third wish is Shine asks for her to remove the scar from his face, which at the climax of the movie she eventually does, only for him to be shot through the the shot through the face, and it is
this film has. I mean,
this
seen
film
it
doesn't
now.
hold
You've seen
back.
it now. If there's some stubborn people that didn't go and watch it, there's child death. It's not a thing that I think we're very used to seeing in English language films.
At least violent child death.
Yeah, they don't pull their punch. Adult on child. Yeah, maybe accidental death, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is full on murder of children. It's pretty rough.
And again, but really well handled.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's shocking. It's shocking, but I mean,
yeah.
I don't think it's done for shock value. I mean, the whole purpose of it is to show the reality of this life. It's the kind of life that unfortunately, a lot of children in Mexico live.
Yeah,
so
it isn't, as you said, it's not for shock value. That is not unfortunately, that is not an impossible scenario.
Yeah. Oh no, not at all.
So yeah, they use it to great effect. But yeah, these pieces of chalk, the first wish she makes eventually wraps around at the end of the movie, where she does find her mother, who has been murdered by the man who's been chasing the gang. And throughout the movie, the ghosts are saying, bring him to me, bring him to me. And the climax of the movie comes round on the essentially mass grave or execution site, torture site of a lot of this drug gang's victims. And it brings eventually, all the characters coincide there, and pretty explicitly the antagonist is murdered by these ghosts. There are ways you could look at it that it could not happen. Like, he's locked in there and starves to death.
Yes.
They start a fire and blah, blah, blah. But
yes,
from what the movie presents to you,
it
very much makes it seem as if, no, these ghosts got their revenge.
That's true.
And I don't think necessarily it takes away from the movie.
You just wish they'd kind of held with that kind of ambiguous, is she making wishes or not kind of thing.
Yeah. It puts a little bit too much of a finality on it for me, whereas you are using this story as a very, very big metaphor for the horrors of the drug war in Mexico, especially in the way that it affects children.
Yeah.
It gets a little bit Hollywoodized towards the end there. Because of that, it's that need for closure. That no, we must have everything wrap up and be nice. And
to be fair,
tight.
It is a bit of a coincidence that it was Chino that caused that murdered Estrella's mother. It wasn't really. I don't remember being particularly that kind of set up. Her running into Shine and his gang, and Shine and his gang being involved with this guy. Those were just coincidences that then wrap around to this. So
Shine and Estrella meet because he's robbing her.
Yeah, exactly. It's
her house.
Yeah, and just so happens that he's also going to have this violent encounter with her mother's murderer. I'm sure there's unfortunately plenty of Mexican officers in the cartels, but we got the same one. That's okay.
Yeah. Did they have two bracelets, or how did they explain do they explain how she got the bracelet? A bracelet from Estrella's, that Estrella wears around her wrist.
She could have taken off her mother's corpse, couldn't she?
When?
She gets it at the end, does she not?
Remember, Shine realizes that it's her mother in the video because they're wearing the same bangle.
Yeah. She doesn't. I think, does she not get the bangle at the end of her mother's corpse? Does the ghosts?
What I'm saying is that, are there two of them? Are there two bangles then?
No. So she was murdered with the bangle on and the bracelet.
But throughout the movie, Estrella is wearing it.
Is she? I didn't know.
Yeah, because that's how. Because remember, it floats off her wrist.
We're going to get emails about you looking like a.
Oh no, this will all be edited out. Don't you worry. Yeah,
I didn't know. Right, as soon as this wraps, you're going to go on, check, and then this is never going to get heard by anyone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it is a little bit neat and tidy at times.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've skirted around review kind of in this whole discussion. Did you like it?
Absolutely. Absolutely, top to bottom. It's a really well handled movie. I think it really accomplishes what it sets out to do.
I mean, I liked it. I could have done, although it proved to be kind of central to the climax of the film, but the climax of the film does have problems, as we've said. I could have done really kind of without the ghost encounters. I feel like they were kind of, if you took this film without the ghost encounters to a major studio, I'm not saying they did this, but in my head, it could have been a fully formed thing without those kind of spooky jump scare moments, and then a studio would take one look at it and go, yeah, but it's a horror movie, right? So we need a couple of scares, so throw some scares in there, kind of thing. I think you could take those out, and at that point, it is just a horror movie focused on the horror of their situation. You don't really need the ghost stuff. It was fairly well done. Like, it was kind of creepy, but it's the kind of stuff that's been done 100 times before. The Mexican drug wars affecting these children hasn't been done a million times before. The cool graffiti and blood trail stuff, that hasn't been done before. That was really original to me. And then I just felt that ghost stuff kind of brought the movie down a little bit for me. I think it would have been like a better overall product if they'd kind of just tightened up a bit and taken some of that stuff out. Had confidence that they don't need that to kind of scare the audience or disturb the audience, which is, I think this is a better kind of disturbing movie than really an outright scary movie.
Yeah, you're definitely right. If you took out the actual ghost aspects and left in, the tiger on the wall, the blood following her, it would actually add a little bit more weight to some of that, rather than just being a kind of, a symptom of it being a horror movie, in quotes.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we've also got the stuffed tiger coming to life at the end of the movie.
Yeah. She's just out of her mind. She's just
that's probably the best
unreliable narrator can get away with anything. I mean, there's at the climax of the film, there's the literal tiger.
Yeah.
Is that literal? I mean,
I think that's an actual tiger that escaped from a zoo.
It didn't annoy either of us as much as, especially you, as much as the fish that have been living in that puddle.
Why did you have to remind me of that? Why did you have to?
In a nutshell,
possible.
They find this totally abandoned building. It's clearly dirty and abandoned. And in one little hallway, there's an aquarium that's been smashed, and there's just, 100 goldfish living in this little crack kind of in the floor. I mean, it can't be more than like 2 feet by 4, and they're all just happily still living there with no room to do anything. I feel kind of sorry that they even had to be put in there for the filming. It did not look comfortable. The caravan's got more room than that, for God's sake. Jesus.
I know, and I've got my feet on you again.
We're not in the caravan. Don't break the illusion.
Oh.
We're in sunny Mexico. That's a thing to note. So the location's not actually specified, although the director's from Mexico City. So Mexico City it's been ravaged by the drug war, and they've got tens of thousands of kids homeless. I'm sure that, although it's not specified, I would guess that the director was kind of drawing on her own experiences of her own hometown when she made that. So Issa Lopez, director. This is a strange thing I read when I was reading about this film. So she is actually an orphan, and she lost her mother when she was 8 years old. And she was talking to a magazine about this, and she said, "My mom died of natural causes, but it was very unexpected and sudden. And many, many times you don't realize that you're dragging a ghost behind you. And I was just about to go into production of this film when one of my friends pointed out that it was my personal story, and it floored me. I hadn't seen it." So that seems crazy to me. I mean, obviously that's a horrible thing to happen to her, but that she could write this film, going into production of it. So she'd written this film about a child that lost her mother. She hadn't even connected it to her, and it's
realize the parallels.
Horrible thing that's going on in her country, and obviously she feels strongly about it, and she hadn't linked it to her own experiences in that direct way. It's It's very strange. And the whole, I mean, dragging a ghost behind you, that is a literal, the blood trail that follows Estrella throughout the film, that ties directly into that. I just thought it was very interesting that she'd not actually,
Yeah.
even in writing it, she'd obviously poured some of herself out on the page without realizing it at all, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason why, despite some of its flaws, this movie comes across so powerfully. It really, you feel the effort that's gone into this. You feel the blood, sweat, and tears of.
Yeah,
it feels like a personal project.
It feels authentic. So there's a kind of spectre that hangs over this film. He's not your typical spectre. He's a large man, jolly face. Oh God, that's a cliche. Take away jolly face, happy face, little round spectacles. His name is Guillermo del Toro, and this film is clearly influenced by his kind of style, the fairy tale kind of style, in conjunction with like harsh violence, stories told from the point of children. It's definitely,
it feels very much like an urban, a gritty urban Del Toro movie.
It's not quite, still a great movie. It's not quite on his level of movies for me. I do really enjoy his films, but I mean, if you said this was maybe an earlier film of his or something like that, I'd say yeah, definitely, because it feels like a Del Toro movie, and that's not to take away from it. It's just how it feels.
I imagine he is quite a large influence for certain people in Mexico, like filmmakers. Like you said, I would not have been surprised if I'd looked up this movie and it was produced by Del Toro. Yeah. Something along those lines. But absolutely, to say that this is like a Del Toro movie, for me, it's more of a compliment.
Oh, it's highly successful. Yeah, it's highly successful. It's not, don't get me wrong, it doesn't feel like she's copying her. Yeah, she's not copying her.
It's not a rip-off.
Her style is kind of informed by his style. Well, and that's interesting as well. The director, Issa Lopez, she doesn't do horror. She does comedies, rom-coms. This seems to be her first foray into horror at all. And to be able to knock out the park like this is pretty special, because I mean, it might have been a secret passion of hers, but she got her start in the film industry by doing your typical Photoshop cover, happy-go-lucky, jolly rom-coms kind of thing, which is very strange. I didn't expect that at all. I was expecting to look into her filmography and get something else we could watch for this, but no.
Yeah, it's I'd be interested to know what drew her to horror specifically, rather than something like a drama. A drama or a thriller or something along those lines. What was it that brought in the want or need for a supernatural element?
That's what I was saying. Without the ghost stuff, it's a horrific story, but it's also true to life. So, yeah, it's interesting. I was very surprised to hear that, so obviously Tigers Are Not Afraid, the film's use of a tiger wasn't intentional at first. Guess what animal they were going to use at first?
Mountain goat.
You'll never get it. It was a zebra.
Oh, never would have got that.
They couldn't find a zebra.
Okay.
They couldn't find a zebra. Her producer suggested painting a donkey or using a hippopotamus instead. And then she didn't want to do those.
I wonder why.
Yes, I didn't want to do those things. Then just handily, a tiger became available for filming.
And then they went out and bought a stuffed tiger.
Yeah, and then obviously that also influenced, because the Tigers Are Not Afraid, and talking about the tigers, the tiger coming in at the end, I'm assuming all that stuff got added after. So kind of serendipitous, because it works really well in the film. But I don't know how Zebras Are Not Afraid, a zebra at the end of the film would not be as good.
I do want to watch Donkeys Are Not Afraid.
It's a zebra. It's a painted zebra. I honestly, that I'm just going to say right now, I don't know if I believe that 100%.
Well, to add credence to this, the Spanish title for this is Return, not Tigers Are Not Afraid.
That's true. Velven. And I didn't really understand.
Your Spanish is on point, my friends.
I know. And don't ask me any more questions about Spanish, but I am fluent. I don't know if that's to do with the kind of like inevitable cycle of violence kind of thing. There was an alternative ending that wasn't filmed where basically Estrella gets out of all of this and basically just walks away from all, but the other kids like get sucked into the kind of gangster lifestyle.
I don't know how I would have felt about that.
It's grim enough.
Yeah,
it's grim enough. Like, fair enough. If that happens, obviously that happens. That's how these things carry on going. Is they prey on vulnerable people to.
No, totally. I'm not saying it would have been unrealistic or but
I can get why that wasn't filmed,
yes,
though, because at the end of this, you don't want to down. I mean, the ending's pretty downer as it is. You don't need any more than that. I mean,
I also feel it would have been a bit too generic. And I know that that sounds so heartless to say, considering the circumstances in which we're talking. But I feel that the ending is at least it's personal to the characters. It feels like their story closing out rather than they were caught in this never-ending drug cycle and it all happens again. And while that would have been, a very true to life and perhaps still quite powerful statement at the end, I feel that the way this movie uses a lot of close-ups. It's a lot of single faces in the shot, and I feel that is partly just to bring you into these characters, and I feel to just say, no, it was all just they're all just another victim in the horrible cycle.
Yeah, all the nuances you learnt about them and how they're actually sweet, charming little children. I mean, I'm sure that happens, though.
No, totally, but it's
officers in the cartels didn't. I'm sure they all started out mostly as sweet and innocent little children. But
yeah, and
I mean,
one of the things we've not talked about is that the cartel is kidnapping children for. I don't think it really goes into it, but they are kidnapping children.
Yeah, it seems to be. I mean, they're making loads of people disappear. The kids at one point say that they are Satanists. I mean, I think the film doesn't put a defining point on these things because it's from it's
from the view
us.
of that
It's children. Yeah, exactly. This whole Satanism thing, I don't think that's based on any kind of fact. They do have, they have pretty brutal violence in Mexico, and they do. The whole Day of the Dead thing is based on their worship of a saint that's to do with death, but it's not. It's not
worshiping death.
It's the kids kind of making this up in their own head about they're going to do this and that to you. They're kind of like the boogeyman of the whole thing.
Yeah, they've been. They can't determine fact from they're too young. They can't determine the fact from the fiction. Yeah, they kidnap people and do all these horrific murders. Why wouldn't they eat hearts?
Exactly.
To them, that's all in the same kind of boat.
So we like it. I'd say if you like it, you should watch Guillermo del Toro's films, Pan's Labyrinth especially. I would say, that to me, Pan's Labyrinth and this film are the closest in terms of the kind of tone of it, with a child having like kind of whimsical encounters and also moments of brutal violence. They both handle it very well. They both balance it very well. I'd say probably out of all of del Toro's movies, that's probably the closest influence. I'd say another film that people might want to check out is City of God. Have you ever seen City of God, Ali?
I've not. No, actually. I've heard very good things.
It's set in Brazilian favelas, and it's just follows kids around, and it's very similar in terms of the effect of gang violence on children and them growing up around it. There's moments of extreme violence in that film as well. It seems very realistic, so I'd say that it's not got the supernatural element to it, but it's very horrific. it's not an easy watch at all, just because of how it kind of deals with murder. It's got a because it's so realistic. The murder seems extra kind of callous and impactful. Does that make sense? I mean, it's kids doing really horrific crimes at times.
Yeah, with Del Toro's movies, even the more violent, taking Pan's Labyrinth as the prime example of, even the moments where the violence does really, really ramp up.
Oh, we all remember that scene. There's that one scene.
That one scene. Face. Yep. Yeah, it's the one that's been stuck in my mind since we started talking about the influences. But there's still that kind of disconnect of fantasy. Del Toro really leans into his fantasy in that movie.
Yeah. Very much so.
This one, the supernatural is it's kind of on the outskirts of it all.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
and that's why, as we're saying, it would so easily just be an excellent drama.
Yeah.
And that's why these moments are so impactful, because 90% of the time nothing out of the ordinary is going on. It's just this horrible living situation for these kids. So when and it is used sparsely, there are so many moments of like human horror in that movie, but the actual moments of violence are used so sparsely and to such good effect that you're just gut punched by it.
I'd say, as a sliding scale, I'd say, yeah, Pan's Labyrinth is the most fantastical. I think it's always surrounded by the element of fairy tale. This movie, then City of God, is just strip out all that fairy tale and just have kids in a horrible, crime-ridden living situation. It's definitely worth a watch, but you got to know that going into it. It's tough. It's a tough watch. So we liked it. I actually got interested to know. So Guillermo del Toro, to be clear, had absolutely nothing to do with making this film, but he rated it 7th best film of 2017. He tweeted out a little thing in Spanish, but I'll say it in English for the benefit of our English-speaking audience. I'm sure I could pronounce everything correctly, but so it is a glory that the new voice of horror in Mexico is Issa Lopez. Horror with sensitivity and gaze always moves. So he's a big fan, which is nice. You never know what director's going to react like when someone gets influenced by them. Sometimes I don't think they particularly like it, but Guillermo, being a bloody nice guy, really likes it. And they're going to produce a horror western. I believe it's got werewolves in it,
cool.
Which sounds really cool.
Yep.
So I'm really looking forward to that. I don't know. I think he might be producing. She may be directing, but I'm not 100%.
I mean, there are very few directors where if they're just making a new movie, I'll be like, oh yeah, cool, I'll watch that. Yep.
Yeah.
Del Toro is absolutely up there.
Werewolves with cowboy hats and 6-shooters also. Come on.
Hopefully it's better than the last time he nurtured a talent with Mama.
Listen. Mama's got problems.
Yes, it does.
Don't blame Guillermo for those problems.
It's called the second half of that movie.
Are we ever going to do Mama? No, probably not. Let's leave it.
Yeah, well, it's an American movie, unfortunately. I think it would have been played better in Spanish.
If we ever visit, there's probably better movies to watch.
What, America?
Yeah, exactly. If we ever visit America.
Yeah.
One episode on America, I don't think it would be Mama we would watch. We liked it. Did anyone not like it?
As always with movies, the internet going public always wants to...
Give their 2 cents?
Yeah, give the common man's opinion.
As pointless and invalid as those opinions can be at times.
This one comes from Boohoogland26. These ones are off of IMDb.
I hope Boohoo doesn't come after us if we make fun of him here.
Yeah, well...
Boohoo, this isn't personal, man. Or woman.
He gave it a 2 out of 10. He heartily disagrees with us.
Harsh. Pretty harsh.
He says, I went to see this movie after reading the endless good reviews on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. I think this will be the movie that finally weans me off trusting aggregate review sites.
Oh, dear.
This movie has a wonderful premise and setting to explore the horrors of the modern-day drug war in Mexico through a magical realism thriller.
Stop right there.
A magical realism
Sounds
thriller.
like he's liking it. I agree with everything he's... Okay, magical realism thriller. I'm not aware of the subgenre. I agree with everything he said there.
Yep.
It does have a wonderful premise and setting. Give me the mid-review twist.
What this movie delivers is a jumbled and confused mess of sophomoric metaphors, weak plot, and one-dimensional characters. The movie struggles to connect one scene to the next sensibly and plays out like a Telemundo soap opera, introducing increasingly lazy plot devices to propel the movie forward.
Listen. Harsh. Now, we mentioned that's like admittedly slightly lazy plot device.
Yeah, it's convenient. I wouldn't call them
borderline. I think it's borderline. One thing wait, sophomoric metaphors. I like the metaphors.
Yeah.
I'm not a sophomore, so I'm like, oh dear, am I thick? I like them. I think they were easy, to be fair. Okay. Let's be fair to Boohoo, okay?
Okay.
I do think that the blood trail is easy to understand. Immediately, so she sees that corpse. She turns away from it, and the blood follows her. Now, I think most people would infer from that you can't ignore this kind of horror if it's happening.
Yeah, it follows you.
You try to, it follows you. But it's still done. It's still a really good visual. So I don't really care that it's that even most people would probably be able to get it easily. I mean, I got it and it's fine. I liked it.
Yeah, one of the things about metaphors in film is half of it is execution. Like if it's badly executed, you're using shitty sophomoric metaphors. If it's well done, then it doesn't have to be super layered and obscure. It's driving the point across in a meaningful way. That's the entire point of it. And one thing I will say is it struggles to connect one scene to the next sensibly. I never got that feeling, and this is a man who has watched Ant-Man and the Wasp twice. And that is a movie that really struggles.
Do you know what's interesting? They actually shot it in chronological order to ease the kids' performances. So obviously the kids weren't trained actors, so I think quite rightfully so. They said, let's shoot it chronologically so that when this child possibly dies, gets taken away from the movie set, you're not going to see him again. It's easier for kids that aren't... Well, it'd be easier for anyone if they're not an experienced actor to kind of be able to empathize with that. So I kind of don't really agree with what he's saying there. I mean, there's no particular jumpy kind of, we're in this scene now, we're in this scene. I mean, half the time they're just hanging around, or they say, we need to go here and do this, and then, that it seems fine to me.
Yeah.
Harsh, boohoo, harsh. Carry on. Does he have anything else?
Yeah, he says
we're personifying this as a man.
I wonder why.
Continue.
The use of children characters is such a violent and dark setting should have evoked a sense of extreme empathy and horror for their real life counterparts. However, the writing is
Stop. It did. Continue.
Okay. However, the writing is so basic and underdeveloped that the movie uses youths in violent situations as a crutch and substitute for its lack of anything truly poignant or thought-provoking to communicate about the situation of Mexico.
What does that mean? It's not a crutch. It's the point of the film. You can't crutch the point of the film as a crutch.
And if you're specifically talking about violent situations, it definitely doesn't use it as a crutch. Violent situations are quite rare in this movie.
Yeah, 100%.
Horrible situations are common, but violent ones are really not. I've seen a movie with more jump scares than this had violent moments.
Yeah, sure. I don't think you can say... As a crutch, I'm still getting over as a crutch.
Yeah.
How can you? What? Sorry, just carry on. I don't think I'm.
Well,
he
finishes.
I can't formalize my thoughts into words at this point. I don't understand.
He finishes. Overall, Tigers Are Not Afraid is one of the worst and most
Jesus.
overhyped limited releases I have seen in recent history. Worst.
He might have only seen one.
That's true.
It's also the best. It's the only one.
Hey, people are entitled to their opinions.
People are entitled to their own opinion, and we are as entitled to our opinion as Boohoo Gland 26 is entitled to his or hers. And this is not a personal attack on Boohoo Gland 26. Just trying to get to the bottom of what's being said.
To be fair, at least he put that together coherently, if not a little pretentiously. Unlike FD Age Nice.
This is off to a good start.
He says this is a pretentious fake film critics will rate over 5. He gave it a 4.
Now
it's a fake film.
Wait.
4 out of 10.
4 out
yes.
of 10.
Sorry, yes.
4 out of 10. So he's saying critics. Oh wait, he's saying critics will
over
rate it 5 stars out of 5. He's rating it
over 5.
Over 5 stars.
Over 5 out of 10. He's given it a 4 out of 10. He's saying that critics will rate this over.
You're pretentious if you rate it 6 or over. That is a sweeping statement. What's its average IMDb rating?
Its IMDb rating is 7, based on over 4,000 user reviews.
So the vast majority of people are pretentious film critics then.
Yep.
Oh dear.
He said, or she, sorry, I shouldn't, I'm going to assume it's a guy, to be honest with you. This movie was sold to me as a movie that will change my life.
By who?
This-
Who said that? Who said that to this person? I wouldn't say that to anyone. Look, just for the benefit of everyone, this film will not change your life. Very few films will. This is
Yeah.
entertainment, okay?
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell you that.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to go and volunteer in Mexico after seeing this movie.
I mean, well, let's not get it wrong. I was not aware of how horrible life over there can be for certain people. So if
that's what...
it's definitely raised my...
Has it changed your life in that way?
Well, okay. Oh, dang. I just said it
Yeah.
hadn't.
Yeah.
Okay, arguably, in one sense, yes, it has. Damn it. Because now
Wow.
I do have much more empathy for a situation that I wasn't aware of before. Fine.
You said it would
Continue
change
with the
your
review.
life.
I've admitted I was incorrect. Continue with the review from this person.
You said-
I
you
mean,
said
if you don't have a catchy username, how am I going to refer to you?
We'll call him Nice.
Nice.
Nais, because it's the last four.
Okay.
Well, you said this movie changed your life. He said that makes absolutely no sense at all.
I mean, changed
First-
my life
fir-
in a very small way.
First of all,
Oh, dear.
if the deads
I'm
want
being
the girl
personally attacked now.
yeah, now you know how Boohoo feels.
Oh, yes, this is horrible.
If the deads want the girl Estrella to help them, why they try to hurt her?
Oh, dear. Okay.
Why they try to hurt her, Donald?
Oh, dear.
And I don't even know where to start anymore. There are so many useless things in this movie. So
that
many
it?
things aren't used.
Oh, okay.
I think it would actually have been better thriller movie without the fantastic and horror part.
Oh, my God. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree
you
with
and
this
you
person.
You and Nice are the same. You both agree that pretentious
Okay.
fake film critics.
No,
will
no,
rate
no,
it
no,
over
no, no,
five.
no, 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 no. Let's not get this wrong. I do wish there was a cut without the overt horror. I've said it. Fine. I agree with Nice on that part. I don't have a clue what the hell else is being said.
It feels like they just put a lot of visual fantastic effects just to make it look so profound and deep meaning.
What?
And I can't agree with Nice there. I felt that it was very profound and deep meaning.
It's not. Yeah, come on. This is a director from Mexico, orphaned at a young age, talking about a situation that she clearly feels personally. I mean, she's witnessed personally to an extent. She also feels very strongly about personally. So then turn around and say, it's all pretentious. And look, the blood trail's just to look. It's to say something smart, but it's not smart. It's just daft. I mean, come on. It is personal filmmaking with a kind of a layer of fairy tale thrown over it, effectively. Yeah. Nice isn't correct. I know you can be objective in your opinions, but come on, give it a bit more of a chance than that.
Yeah, actually, I've got to say, really hard to find negative reviews of this movie. I looked. I could not find a lot of negative reviews for this movie. So
there you go.
If you
It's
really
a
don't like this
bonafide
movie, yeah, you can go and talk to Boo Hoogland and FDH Nice.
FDH Nice.
No, I enjoyed it. Definitely not a fun watch.
No, it's not. To be fair, 80 minutes felt more like 100 to me. I think it did drag a tiny bit in the middle there. I think it may be a saggy middle, much like myself.
No, yeah, I agree. I don't think it uses a lot of its time. Not great, but it definitely meanders a wee bit in the middle.
There's a lot of scenes where the kids are kind of hanging out, which I think is important as a contrast. But also, I felt my attention kind of wander a little bit.
Yeah. Some of those scenes drag a
not
bit
a huge
too
problem,
long, but
and
nothing.
No, those scenes gave us the
these
fish
are
on the floor, which you loved. So,
fucking floor fish. Yeah, all of these are minor quibbles with a movie we both came out really liking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Issa, that horror western's called 3 Sundays. Hopefully, I don't know when it'll be out. Hopefully, I mean, the way things are going right now, probably a couple of years. She's working on another supernatural thriller, and an adaptation of a short story called The Book of Souls, which is a dystopian psychological thriller. So it seems like the whole rom-com thing, she's said, right, that got my foot in the door. Let's get that shot. I'm on this stuff now.
Yeah. She wrote for telenovelas previously.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which I feel, considering their mass popularity and...
I assume she's probably not the first and won't be the last good writer or director or producer or whatever to start in Mexican television and branch out into movies.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, going from the projects that she's taken on board, it seems like she has an interest in horror.
Yeah, definitely.
It's hard to say whose influence it was that added or wrote in the more fantastical elements of this story. Mm-hmm. At least we know in the next one it'll be Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, I think he could really...
He'll be writing them in. What about more tree people?
I am very excited to see what he can bring to the table for our films, though. Even if it's just more attention, because I was aware of this film when it first came out. It was very hard to come by. Thankfully, Shudder picked it up. If Shudder hadn't picked it up, it wasn't easy to be able to source the watch. I was looking, so
yeah, that
at least will be something.
I'd say that what I hope from that partnership would be a refinement.
Yeah.
You know, he's just in the sense that he is a very accomplished, experienced filmmaker that, he could absolutely like mentor people in just making film.
Mm-hmm. He can balance that tone, that scale of horror on one side and fantasy or human drama or whatever on the other side, like much better than anyone else can these days, I would say. Like currently now, I think he's a total master at it.
Oh yeah, he won an Oscar for a movie about a woman fucking a fish.
Yeah, please, romancing a fish.
Oh, fair.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, that's ridiculous.
No, and that was not like, that was a completely straight, serious movie.
Oh yeah, it was pretty horrific at times.
But it is still about a fish man.
Yep, it's about a fish man.
That's what he can do. That is his power. Like, do you know what I mean? He can take you into pretty much any situation and make you feel like...
He finds the humanity in it. He's very good at doing that.
Yeah.
He's very good at doing that.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
So, I think I'm pretty much getting sunburnt, so maybe we should probably pop...
2 seconds. I'm just getting a call through. Awesome. Yeah, so it seems like the caravan is fully stocked up. It's repaired, and I think we'll be ready to go next time once we get back from our holiday. Wait, did you see if our flights were still on with all this?
We chartered one special.
Oh, thank
you. Yeah, I know.
Thank
Otherwise, Jesus, there's not enough sunblock in the world.
Yeah, this is why it's the caravan tour of terror.
I'm literally dying. I hate the sun. Why did we come here? Thankfully, next time we're taking a ferry across to Ireland. Not quite as much sun.
To Ireland?
Not quite as much sun. Thank God.
No, we will fit in a lot better there than we will here.
With our pale Celtic looks.
Yeah.
We're going to watch The Hole in the Ground, a 2019 supernatural horror film directed by Lee Cronin.
Yeah, joining us in Ireland. Yeah, well, I need to go and book the caravan site, so...
Please do, and make it bloody nice. I want at least one toilet.
I'll see what I can do.
Bye.
Bye.